Well, good evening and welcome to Panama basketball fans. This is the 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifiers as Cuba will be taking on Panama live here at the Arena Roberto Duran. Well, it is a Group D fixture in which both teams are still winless in the first window, but one of them will come out victorious, and this window number 2 could decide who takes that potential third place. Remember, top 3 teams of each group will go on to the second round of the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. Well, live here in Panama City, of course, the Panamanians will definitely be fancying their chances here at home after, one very emphatic defeat against Uruguay in the first window. But then the second game, a game which they'll probably reflect on and felt they could have won that one. While for Cuba, 2 very tough opening games against Argentina. Well, Argentina currently hosting Uruguay in their third game of this window number 2. It's game day 3. Of course, all teams will meet on Monday, the 2nd of March for their 4th game. Of course, the FIBA World Cup qualifiers is a total of 6 windows. The first 3 is round 1, and the top 3 teams will then progress to round 2, which will be the remaining 4th, 5th, and 6th windows to find out which team from the Americas will qualify for Doha 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup. Well, as we said in this game, either Cuba or Panama will pick up the first victory, and the same in the reciprocal can't be said about Argentina and Uruguay, as one of those teams will pick up their first defeat here in the qualifiers. Well, there you can see the Cuban national team featuring some very young, promising players, but also some familiar faces that we have seen in previous windows. And probably that go-to player tonight is going to be Reynaldo Garcia. Had that experience of playing in both the Japanese B-League and the Indonesian Basketball League, but you've also got the likes of Marcos Chacon, not to mention the big fella inside who's going to be a big name is Pedro Bombino. But meanwhile for Panama, same as we saw in the American qualifiers. Iverson Molina, not to mention Justin Quintero, as well as Trevor Gaskins. Well, this team definitely has a depth of experience within them, and they'll definitely fancy their chances here at home. But the question is, can they get the job done against a Cuban national team who, like them, will be looking for that first win? Well, the benefit of being home, it's obviously the home court advantage, but the home crowd definitely gives you that extra needed much support. While Panama, for many years, have been regarded as, a very talented basketball program, but for them, it's about getting to the major tournaments, making noise, putting themselves at the world stage. And what better way than to do it at the FIBA Basketball World Cup? Well, now, fans, it's indeed time for the best part of the day, as we'll stand, pay respect and homage for the national anthems of these 2 beautiful countries.
Continuamos de pie, por favor, para el himno nacional de Panamá. Invitamos a los equipos.
National anthems of these two beautiful countries have been sung. Of course, in the case of Cuba, we heard the La Bayamesa, Himno de Bayamo. Well, in the case of Panama, we heard Himno Istmeño. Because it's always great to embrace the cultures, the diversity of international hoops with the national anthems. And there you can see head coach Nelson Colon, a legend and former head coach of the Puerto Rican national team, who did take them to the 2023 FIBA Basketball World Cup. We'll take a look at the starting lineups very soon for both these two countries, but before we do that, we're going to introduce four very important people for tonight's game, and those are our three referees and commissioner and technical delegate for tonight's game. Well, from Puerto Rico, we have Yesa Diaz, Edwin Quiles, and from Chile, we have Claudio Andrés Osorio Vargas. The commissioner and technical delegate is Senor Jose Fernando Diaz Correa. So a big thank you to all of our referees who've done a magnificent job in all of our competitions and now continue to do a great job tonight here in Panama City. Well, we'll take a look at the starting lineups very soon as we look at both Panama and Cuba, but like I said, this one's very close to core of both teams in such that very first victory, which would be a monumental victory because you think about it, whoever wins the head-to-head in this window probably will go to the next round. Iverson Molina, Alejandro Grant, Justin Quintero, Ernesto Ogoliv, and Eric Romero will all start tonight for Panama. That leaves Trevor Gaskins, Navarro, Rodriguez Jr., and Atencio coming off the bench. And head coach Nelson Colon, the four-time BSN champion of Puerto Rico's Superior Basketball League. It's a new challenge for him, working with a very talented national team. Can he get them to Doha 2027? Well, that's going to be the key question. He's a legend within the Americas. Because started as an assistant with the Puerto Rican national team back in 2015 before becoming the head coach as of 2021. On the case of Cuba, well, Reynaldo Garcia is going to be the go-to player, and Pedro Bombino is going to have to be the huge source inside the paint for them. Marlon Diaz, along with Marcos Chacon and Ibrahim Echevarria. Well, it does leave Castel, Isaac, along with Sanchez and Ferrano coming off the bench tonight, but in the case of Cuba, head coach Onel Planes, well, it's the same story with them. If you go back to their opening game of the 2023 FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifiers, they nearly defeated the United States of America, and that was in Chihuahua, Mexico. Well, they did defeat the USA in the FIBA America qualifiers, but for Cuba, they've got to be establishing themselves as a regular team that does qualify for big tournaments. As now the official sponsor of tonight's game, the Tissot countdown to tip-off is underway. Now, muchos gracias to Tissot for a magnificent partnership and a collaboration with FIBA Hoops for well over 2 decades. Well, the players just getting ready to take action here as they get their final words of inspiration from Coach Colon. Like I said, you could not call this one. Both teams losing to both Uruguay and Argentina. But that's behind them now in window 1. Now it's window 2. They'll meet each other twice. Could see both teams split both games. Could see one of them take both games. But like I said, whoever wins this window, whether it be a head-to-head or with 2 victories, will most likely be the team that goes on to round 2. Argentina currently up against Uruguay. Trying to keep you updated with how that game is currently going, but like I said, now it's all about Panama and Cuba. Reynaldo Garcia, because has been outstanding playing in East Asia, as mentioned, in the Japanese B-League and the Indonesian Basketball League. But now it's about national team duty. Well, fans, we are going to have a minute of silence for all the games so far here in the Americas. The basketball community mourns the sudden passing of Fabian Bordo, president of FIBA Americas, at the age of 64. A devoted and influential leader, he made a lasting contribution to the growth of our sport across the region. So we kindly ask if you can stand with us during this moment of silence. Our thoughts and prayers go to Fabian Boro and his family, the former president of FIBA America. Gone, but never ever will be forgotten for all the hard work and dedication he's done for the game of basketball across the region of the Americas. Well, fans, we thank you for joining us. We're live here at Arena Roberto Duran in Panama City. Group D, game day 3 of the 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifiers. It will be Cuba with the first possession. Cuba trying to execute a high pick and roll. Well, they get a good look in the corner, but the three isn't taken. Because there's the bump, a lot of contact. It gets the one. Great stop for the Cubans. Well, it looked like it was going to be a low percentage look by Pedro Bombino, but he initiated the contact and, well, had to work his magic to get this one off. Foul's been called on Eric Romero. Bombino, as mentioned, has been a regular so far here for the Cuban national team. You may remember him from the FIBA basketball, well, excuse me, the FIBA American qualifiers. Scored 12 points in that defeat against Argentina, along with 9 rebounds. Unable to convert the three-point play. Panama just trying to respond down the other end. Looking for that early bucket. They'll go for a quick three. That's way off the mark. There's the offensive rebound, another and one. Well, he got called for one down the other end. This time he responds. Romero now will go to the free throw line. That's what we're going to see a lot tonight from both teams. Battling for second chance points. Question is, will that be a big X factor between however it goes with Cuba and Panama? Romero converts the three-point play. Marcos Chacon just bringing the ball up here for Cuba, but they want to put the ball in the hands of this man. Renato Garcia gets an early triple, and you don't want to leave him wide open. His confidence can be terrifying. Giving Cuba a 2-point lead as now Romero tries the three, and it's back and forth between both Panama and Cuba, excuse me. Positive start for both teams. Garcia thinks about going for the three, now penetrates. Had to give that one up to check on. Cuba going down low to Marlon Diaz. Diaz trying to go for the back down. That's good post defense. Well, excellent defense by Ernesto Olivier. Now Panama trying to get inside Cuba's paint. Ball gets stripped. Great defense by Garcia. Reynaldo goes in but can't finish. Offensive rebound by Chacon. And goes in for the second shot. Second time already here in the first quarter we've seen Cuba benefit from second shots opportunity points. So far 2 minutes, only 1 point separating both Panama and Cuba. Well, Molinaro will try his luck from downtown and make that triple number 2 for Panama. Well, went between the legs, found that bit of separation. As Cuba tried to go quickly. Olivier just showing a little bit of persistence on defense. Check on. Kicks out Cuba now. They'll go for another three. That one just hits the front iron, and Panama happy to see that one dribble out of bounds. Well, Cuba currently 1 out of 3 from downtown. Panama 2 out of 3 from downtown. Panama's dribble handoff offense. They'll go for another one. Well, if we're going to expect volume three-point shooting, one thing we do have to anticipate, there's going to be a lot of offensive rebounding here this evening. Garcia. Foul was called on the screen as Alejandro Gran just a little overzealous, trying to fight around the ball screen. A lot of contact there between Alejandro Gran and Marlon Diaz. Second team foul called against Panama here in the second quarter. 7:01 left. Panama trying persistently to be very aggressive as Garcia goes for another one. That just rolls its way in and out, but another offensive rebound. Bombino comes up and doesn't get his second and one, but will get his second trip to the free throw line. Well, that's why he's in there. Because we saw that he loves playing alongside Haciel Rivera whenever he's on national team duty, but they can win the rebound count tonight, especially the offensive rebound count. That will be so imperative for Cuba. Bombino currently at the free throw line, currently playing in the second division of Spanish basketball for Palma. Spent 2 years prior playing in Argentina for Santa Fe, and prior to that he was with Guaros de Lara in Venezuela. Because one of the more historic teams of the Americas, who were two-time FIBA Liga de las Americas champions in 2015 and 17, which today now is obviously known as BCL Americas. Well, there's a quick penetration, goes straight to the rack. Well, the acceleration was simply exhilarating. Great take by Iverson Molina. Cuba have a wide open three. Good look, but that just doesn't go in. Panama lead by 2. They'll get it back. Well, not a bad start for either team, but Cuba just haven't had the same success from downtown yet. Cuba 1 out of 4 from the three-point line. Panama 2 out of 4. Olivier tries to power his way inside the paint. Jump hook, make it another and one. Well, he had to work his money to really back down against Diaz, but it's the aggression. But look how high he elevates here on the little jump hook. And that's a lot harder than it looks. Well, that's going to be Diaz's first personal foul as Olivier looking to extend this to a 5-point lead currently here for Panama. Unable to do that. Rebound collected by Hechevarria. There's a hesitation now, a little teardrop front iron. Cuba just coming up with the 50-50. Now going back out to Reynaldo Garcia. Reaching under 10 on the shot clock. There's the penetration. Could have kicked that one out as Panama comes up with it. Oh, what a diamond transition. Goes in, but he goes up with a layup. But that bounce pass dissected the entire transition. Six-point lead currently here to Panama. Both teams looking for that first win here in the World Cup qualifiers. Bombino kicks this one out. This is better from Cuba. Getting a good look for the mid-range, and that's neatly tucked away by Marcos Chacon as now he moves up to 4 points. Two-possession ball game still between his Olivier. Flooded with the idea of going for a 3, but Panama goes for another one, and that doesn't touch anything but the glass. Oh, but they throw it away, and in the end, will it be an assist for Cuba? But I think Alejandro Gran is going to get a steal there. Timeout is going to be called by Cuba. Alejandro Grant. Basically, I don't think he realized how easy that was going to be. Let's head down to Cuba's bench to find out what the coaching staff is going to address to their players. Well, it may be February, but that is a late Christmas present for Alejandro Grant. That is practically Feliz Navidad muy tarde. Cuba down by 6 points. Panama's players getting ready to re-enter play here just from this timeout. 4:55 to go in the first quarter. May only be a 6-point lead, but head coach Nelson Colon knows that's nothing in these kind of windows. It's the old cliche that basketball is a game of runs. Couldn't be more true than here in the Americas. The tempo is just so quick, so physical. Well, good reach by Oglivier, forcing a turnover and a 3-on-2 hit for Panama. That's going to be a traveling violation. Alejandro Grant forgetting the jump stop. I don't think he was trying to kick out in the corner. And credit to Cuba's transition defense, making every extra effort to get back. Looks like Panama's gone into a 2-3 zone defense. Garcia has a wide open look, but he's not able to make it. And that's going to be Cuba's third team foul. Well, Ibrahim Hechevadia just tried to kill me from the weak side, but just poorly timed that one. It's only his first personal foul, so not too much for him to be concerned about. We don't want to get into too much foul trouble too early. Patient passing here from Panama. They'll go for another 3. They've already made 2, but now make it 3 out of 5 from downtown as they extend it to a 9-point lead. Cuba don't want this lead to get too big. Don't want to be staring down the barrel of an 0-3 beginning here to the qualifiers. Paint work just not working. And that's going to be the 4th and final team foul against Cuba. Marlon Diaz that time getting called for the foul. Panama looking to extend to a double-digit lead. Cuba staying in this 2-3 zone defense. Panama may benefit from just passing around it, but again, just too much dribbling against the zone as Quintero wasn't ready for it. They just need to be a little bit more patient. Probably don't need to dribble so much against the zone defense. Cuba needs something here to build in their offense. Garcia penetrates, avoids the block, gets one, and now a total of 4 we've seen from both teams here in the first quarter as Reynaldo. Well, there's a reason he becomes a top import in any of the East Asian Pro Leagues that he's represented in. I mean, he's tough as they come. Well, changes coming in for Panama. So subbing into the game for the first time, Gil Atencio. He's rotating through the benches quite often. So Reynaldo Garcia is actually currently playing in the B League, where he's averaging 15 points for the Saga Ballooners. Because those are getting just under 6 rebounds and 4 assists per game. So like I said, he's a tough player to deal with. And he's attacking the paint, another foul drawn, so it's going to be free throws coming up for Atencio. It's only second trip to the free throw line tonight here for Panama. Foul is called on Javier Sanchez. That's a case of Gil Atencio just having too much room when he received the pass at the top of the high post. Sanchez getting called for his first foul. Try to extend it to an 8-point lead here for Panama. This second window, probably the most crucial one we're going to find here in round 1 for both Cuba and Panama. Like I said, whoever wins tonight, you want to win by as big a margin as possible. Because you know the second game, the loser of the first one's going to try to come out all guns a-blazing. Bombino loses his balance. Check on, nowhere to go here, but still time on the shot clock. Echevarria will go for a deep 3-pointer, and it rolls in and out, but a foul is going to be called. So Bombino, I think he's going to the free throw line. It looks like Reynaldo Garcia is going to come out of the game. So checking in for Cuba, Ariel Ferran. Just trying to give them a little bit more stability. And also Aldo Castel is also into the lineup. Bombino back at the free throw line. So far Cuba now 3 out of 5. Bombino 4 points so far here this evening. Second leading scorer along with Marcos Chacon, right behind Reynaldo Garcia, who does have 6. Second free throw good. 7-point deficit. Cuba trying to put on some full court pressure. Panama, no problem breaking it down. Now Cuba going to match a man-to-man defense. A lot of miscommunication on the ball screen. I don't think Sanchez knew whether to switch, hedge, allow the defense to go under. But Cuba needs more sophisticated communication when defending these screens. I mean, look, Sanchez is in no man's land. Iverson Molina now with the charity stripe. He's actually the leading scorer in the game so far with 7 points. He's 3 for 5 from the field. It's his first trip to the free throw line. Makes it both. Extends it back to a 9-point lead. A provisional substitution. There's now Isaac Machore into the lineup. Molina still leads the game with 9 points. Cuba just try to attack the gaps. Bombino kicks out. They'll go for another 3. This one's up. And that is way off the mark. You sense the feeling without Reynaldo Garcia. Where are the points going to come for Cuba? And it's another foul. It's on Sanchez. That's going to be his second personal foul. So now, Ezekiel Bell will go to the free throw line. These will be free throws 7 and 8 already here for Panama in the first quarter, and a chance to extend to a double-digit lead. Well, Sanchez is going to sub out of the game. Reynaldo Garcia back into the lineup along with Marlon Diaz. And if Cuba's going to have any success tonight, you don't want to see Reynaldo Garcia go to the bench. He's got to remain in the game for as long as possible. Both free throws good. Panama now 7 out of 8 from the charity stripe this evening, leading by 11 points. Garcia's going to draw this foul, so now he'll go to the free throw line. So 1:41 to go, neither team with any fouls to give. Panama's got to display some discipline on the defense, because with players like Reynaldo Garcia, comeback can happen at any point. Mature, he should have had his hands up right from the beginning. Garcia makes the first free throw, because probably one of the highlights of his career was when he did actually play for Satria Muda in the Indonesian Basketball League, making it to the finals. He was losing in that epic three-game series against eventual champions Pelita Jaya. Both free throws good. Cuba putting on some full court pressure. Well, Panama avoid the 8-second violation. Now go for a quick one. Rebound's been secured. Garcia hugging the sideline here in transition. Well, he's made 1 3, goes for another one. That's just way too short. Can Panama go into the second quarter with that double-digit cushion? Here at home, they have the advantage. Cuba sticking to a matchup man-to-man defense. Garcia tries to gamble. Seconds winding down here on the shot clock for Panama. They'll go for another 3. This one's up, and raining threes tonight here in Panama City. 12-point lead. Well, that's now their 4th three-point field goal. They've only missed 2 so far. It's Garcia trying to go off the bank, can't get it. Reached in, goes out of bounds. And that's going to go back to Panama. Well, Cuba can't come up with it. You appreciate the hot hustle and effort from these Cuban players, putting on this full court pressure. Echevarria is so nearly coming up with possession. Panama goes quickly here. A 2-for-1 can be on the table for them. Maturity finds that handoff. Time nearly expiring. Panama's got to go for it. That's going to be a 24-second violation. So 20.3 left here in the first quarter. I sense it could be Reynaldo Garcia time. Second leading scorer tonight, Garcia, even though he is 2 for 7 from the field with 8 points. Reynaldo Castel will have the possession as a primary ball handler. Panama don't want to foul. He went for a quick one, and in the end, Panama. Well, there was 10.2. I don't know what's more disappointing. The fact that Fanan took a quick 3, knowing they should have gone for the last shot, or that Rodriguez has overcommitted himself. So this will send Cuba to the charity stripe for 3 free shots. Cuba's only 1 for 8 from the perimeter tonight. I mean, there's no need to run out like they're going to be shooting a high percentage. Although Castell gets his first points. Cuba currently 7 out of 9 from the free throw line, and both teams have got to the charity stripe very well this evening. Because he had 5 points in that horrific defeat against Argentina in game day 2 of the first window. So far he's done quite well. A very composed backcourt floor general here for the Cubans. Doesn't get the second free throw. Panama's got time. Panama nearly turning it over. And they want to go for one final shot as Molina in the paint, can't get it. And that's the end of the first quarter, where Cuba currently trail by 10 points against Panama in game day 3 here. It is already going to be a contested matchup of Group D, because remember, it's going to be the first meeting between these two teams in this window. And like I said, whoever wins this head-to-head, this matchup, most likely will be the team that goes through to round 2, even though we will have a third window coming up in the summer. Well, we'll take a look at some of the key stats here from the first quarter, and then we'll run back the best highlights. But as it stands, Nelson Colon's players lead by 10 here at the Arena Roberto Duran, excuse me. Panama much better from the three-point line. Cuba getting to the free throw line slightly better. Both teams only one field goal difference from within inside the rainbow, but it's been the three-point shooting that set these two teams apart. We'll look at the highlights very soon. Well, there was Pedro Bombino getting the first field goal, which was an @1. He wasn't able to convert that one. But then you saw right away Romero responding. And that was the first three of the game, coming from Reynaldo Garcia. And it almost like it was a temptation, because after that, there you could see Iverson Molina. Well, Iverson, you've heard that name before. Still leading scorer tonight here, 3 out of 5 from the field with 9 points, but some good minutes by Ernesto Oglieve. He's played some very good defense here for the Panamanians. And that was Alejandro Gratz. That time throwing it down with a bit of authority. Well, the tough take by Reynaldo Garcia, second leading scorer in this game with 8 points. So now we get ready for quarter number 2. And fans, if you love international basketball, I highly recommend you use that QR code and download Courtside 1891, where you can watch all the best live streams, get the best schedules and scores of international hoops. Courtside 1891, the home of international basketball. Use that QR code and download it today. Still 3 quarters left to play here in Panama City at the Roberto Duran Arena. 10-point lead to Panama. Welcome back, everybody. Game day 3 of the 2027 Basketball World Cup qualifiers. Well, Garcia putting his hand in the passing lane, goes in, and he gets that one to finally roll in, becoming the first player to get into double figures. As now he leads the game in scoring with 10. Cuts it down to an 8-point deficit. High ball screen coming. Atencio sets it. Panama will go for another 3, and that one's way off the mark. Rebound not quite secure, but Hechavarria nearly throwing it away. And he's already done that once this evening. Oh, Cuba. Conventional by Adel Castell. So now he gets his first field goal after going 2 for 3 from the free throw line. 6-point ball game. Foul is going to be called. I believe that's on Castell. That's going to be Castell's second personal foul. There's Oglivier back in the lineup here for Panama. Even if Cuba may contemplate going back into his own defense. Daniel Farad just trying to put a bit of full court pressure here. Cuba trying to switch everything at the moment. Time winding down. Well, Molina, surely that's going to be an offensive foul. Yep. Getting called for the push-off, so Cuba will get it back, down by 6. He's been outstanding so far, Iverson Molina, here in the first half. Because Panama don't want to give any belief here to Cuba that they could find a way back in this one. Garcia. That's the kick out, finds Echevarria. Another offensive rebound here for Cuba, battling. There's the baseline penetration. Goes in, and now it is a 2-possession deficit as Nelson Colon, infuriated, his team gave up the offensive board. That 10-point lead has disintegrated, so timeout to Panama. Will head down to their bench momentarily to find out what Coach Colon is going to say to his players.
Llegamos. Iverson con la bola. Ok. Entonces. Trevor. Vas a hacerle tú. No, aquí un rap. Trevor. Aquí va a estar Ernesto. Este es Pepito. Aquí está Luis. Iverson con la bola. Cortina. Trevor Gaskin a Pepito. Iverson está aquí, perdón. En este lado. Trevor. Pepito. Cortina, rolea, Ernesto, Gaskin saliendo. Voy de nuevo.
Well, that is why offensive rebounding is so imperative at this level between these two teams. Cuba, 11 boards in total, and use that QR code and download Courtside 1891, the home of international basketball. Download it today. Well, Cuba do have 11 rebounds in total. 5 of them have been offensive, and only 1 offensive rebound so far at the moment here for Panama. Panama still lead by 2 possessions. Molina still leading them. We have 9 points. No play for Panama in double figures, but they'll get a wide open look from the perimeter and make that 3-pointer number 5. 5 out of 8 from downtown. That restores a bit of pride as Gaskins easily knocks that one down. Really just checking into the game here in the second quarter as Garcia goes for a deep one. That's way off the mark. Gaskins made his last 3. Only touches the backboard. Garcia wants a run. Has numbers. Well, inadvertently finding Pedro Bombino. I'm not quite sure Aldo Castell's going to get the assist, but Bombino, or Diaz, excuse me, will get the points. Well, that's a worrying sign for Panama. Hopefully not too concerning for them. Looks like Quintero is going to come into the game. Almost 2.5 play, but it looks like Atencio is going to be okay. Atencio only with 2 free throws so far this evening, but Nelson Colon knows the aggressive nature, the end-to-end basketball of Cuba can sometimes, well, quite often make them a very complicated opponent to go up against. Cuba again relentlessly putting on this full court man-to-man pressure. Well, Cuba's got a chance of a double team here. Panama's able to break it down. Like the aggressive mindset so far for the Cuban defenders. Gaskets tries to go down the middle, kicks out to Quintero straight off the bench. Almost tough making that first three straight off the bench. Oh, what a play. Oh, Kent almost got it. Well, Diaz putting on a bit of Rajat Rondo. And that's a pick and roll play. Ogliev. And again, Reynaldo Garcia, another steal. This time gives it up. Hechavarria can't finish. Still they can't convert in transition. Two disappointing plays there for Cuba. Bombino, good defense. And Ogliev able to finish as he restores a 7-point lead. Well, Panama just demonstrating and displaying how to finish in transition. They'll go for a quick three, got to make it. No offensive rebounders. I'm not quite sure Cuba needs Marlon Diaz taking those shots. 7-point lead currently to Panama. Back to Ogliev. They've taken a few steps. Gets the and one, and he'll go back to the free throw line. Exploiting the weaknesses in the paint defense of Cuba. Foul is on Hechavarria. Well, there was the gamble there defensively, which Cuba didn't need to make. Well, Hechavarria is going to go to the bench. Quite a loss for them, but it's his second personal foul so far in the game. As Ernesto Ogliev can indeed make this a 10-point lead to Panama. 6:11 to go here in the second quarter. He's unable to make the free throw. Gaskets coming up with the offensive board. Molinar goes in. Well, make that a 4-point play. Who needs the and one? 11-point lead currently here to Panama. Second time they've had a double-digit lead against Cuba. He has had a look at the perimeter, goes in. Unable to get the circus shot to drop, and he'll go to the free throw line. So much more aggressive play by Marlon Diaz. Not sure who the foul's been called on. I think that's going to be called on Ezequiel Bell. Well, in window one against Argentina, Marlon Diaz Chris had 13 points in that heavy defeat against Argentina. Chris only 4 points in the opening game, but he stands roughly at 200 centimeters. That's roughly 6'6". Well, he's played in Argentina. He played for Argentino Union. Also played for Truville in Uruguay. And also for Brillantes de Zulia in Venezuela, where he did average 9.8 and 4 rebounds. But he's unable to hit the second free throw. Patient passing now around the key. Hesitate, can't get it. Rebound secured here by Reynaldo Garcia. Well, Cuba don't go for the jump stop, but Marcos Chacon gets his third field goal. Chacon now moving up to 6 points. Still an 8-point lead. Another turnover. Panama way too casual. Well, Chacon wide open. Time, space, three, and all of a sudden a 5-0 run from Cuba as they cut it down to 5. Reynaldo Garcia elected to go for the assist. That's his second assist of the game with 3 rebounds and 10 points. And Marcos Chacon now becoming second leading scorer. Right behind Reynaldo Garcia for Cuba. We'll head down to Panama's bench to find out what Nelson Colon has to say.
Seas inteligente y le des continuación. Press drive, nos van a presionar. Press drive. Iverson. el neto. ¿Quién es el otro? Yosti. Juega aquí con el neto. Cae. Ven. Cortina Trevor. Es un horse. Juega la primera acción, Iverson con el neto cae y Bell va a pin down Trevor. Si Trevor no tira, Justin. Si Trevor no tira, Justin. ¡Paciencia!
Well, it's a very unselfish decision made by Reynaldo Garcia, but I think if you're Nelson Colon, he's done a good job of containing his composure because his team have already committed 9 unnecessary turnovers here in the first quarter. And Cuba's only committed 2. Well, Cuba currently 35% from the field offensively. They're 11 out of 31, but the difference in this game so far has indeed been the three-point shooting. Panama 5 out of 10, but 9 turnovers. You got to be a little bit concerned if your team are committing that many at this point. Still a 5-point lead though to Panama. Gaskins defended by Chacon. Oh, make that turnover number 10. Garcia. He's been everywhere so far. 5 steals for Reynaldo Garcia. Well, got to get rid of it. Garcia attacks. Reach in, no foul given. Saving it from going out of bounds. Olivier still has it. Olivier now twisting, turning, goes in the paint, and should have made that one. That was from point blank range. And that's going to be a carry and violation. And Cuba twice have let themselves down where they only had 2 turnovers. Now take it up to 4. Still a 5-point cushion. 2-possession lead currently here to Panama. Garcia just going under the screens here. That's another 3-point attempt. Not going to go. Cuba coming up with a rebound. Now we're under 4 minutes. Garcia catches it. Attacks. Misses. Well, Panama have numbers. 3-on-2. Gaskins. Well, wasted transition there for Panama. Molnar attacks, goes in uncontested, and no defense came out to stop him. Marlon Diaz is right there, but didn't even put a hand up. Cuba look a little bit fatigued here at the moment. The lack of depth in the bench definitely hurts him against his Panamanian team. Check on, a lot of contact. Just can't get it, but that's a big offensive board, and that's what they need him in there for. Bombino! Back to a 2-possession ball game. Iverson Molnar has 13 points. Hasn't missed a shot inside the rainbow yet. He's 4 out of 4. Comes up with it, time winding down, has to go for the mid-range. And again, make it 5 out of 5. He's on fire. He's only missed 3 3-point attempts. He's 1 out of 4, but 15 points. Gotta like his confidence here at the moment. Chacon look for a kick out. Made his last 3 with the assist from Garcia. Panama preventing the offensive rebound. And Garcia make that still number 7. Bombino finds Garcia. This time he makes it. Garcia 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 7 steals already. Well, Reynaldo Garcia could have a double-double sooner rather than later. So he has 7 steals. That's incredible. There's a mid-range contestant. Oh! Buenas noches. Ring the bell, because he'll go in with a one-handed putback. Seven-point lead to Panama. Bombino doesn't take many threes, and quite clearly not the shot they wanted taking. 80 seconds left here in the first half. Teams do have 2 fouls to give. Foul's going to be called on Reynaldo Garcia, since 2 free throws coming up for Ernesto Olivier. That's only going to be Reynaldo Garcia's first personal foul of the game. Well, he's got the tough job of trying to manage the minutes amongst his top players, but if he takes players like Reynaldo Garcia along with Chacon out of the game at any point, points are going to be tough to come by here. You can already see what a big defensive threat Reynaldo Garcia is. Already 7 steals here. Olivier, that time making the bucket. Well, I think there's another free throw that's supposed to happen, actually, because it wasn't at 1 and we didn't have a first free throw. Well, it's the speed of the game. You can understand why everybody thought it was the second free throw. 7 points already for Ernesto Olivier. Second free throw good. 9-point lead. Just over a minute to go here in the second quarter. Chacon looking for a kick out. That's a high arcing 2-point shot, hitting nothing. The potential 2 for 1 coming up here for Panama. Gaskin's already made 1 3. Doesn't get this one. Another big offensive rebound. Well, it's got to be a traveling violation, surely. So 31.7 left here in the second quarter. Cuba will get it back down by 9. Well, they're going to call a timeout as Coach Planas may want to draw something up here. Either way, there's going to be 7 seconds difference between game and shot clock here for Cuba. So we'll head down to Cuba's bench to find out what they have to say, what they're going to try and draw up. Well, 31.7. We'll find out what Cuba, if they are to advance the ball, they'd have to go super quick for a potential 2 for 1, but I don't think that's in their plans. So what's separated these two teams? If you think about it, it has been the more three-pointers made by Panama, currently 5 out of 12, while Cuba only 2 out of 13. Garcia finds Chacon. Just dribbling down the clock a little bit longer as Chacon pulls up in the mid-range and cuts it down to 7. So now he becomes the second player for Cuba into double figures. Cuba's got one foul to give. Well, Panama final three is up, and the over help side defense led to the wide open sixth three-point field goal, knocked down by Luis Rodriguez. Well, it was Reynaldo Garcia, two defenders away, and was just capping inside the lane. And Cuba's defense, well, if he's going to overhelp that much, somebody's got to help the helper. So Panama will indeed go into the halftime break with a 12-point cushion. So we'll take a look at some of the key stats, and then we'll run down the best highlights. But as mentioned, game day 3 here in Group D of the 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup Qualifiers. Well, three-point shooting, it's been the difference. 4 more than Cuba, and it's put them up by 12. Both teams 11 field goals from within the rainbow, and both teams with 9 free throws. Panama out-rebounding Cuba, and also have 5 more assists, but Panama have committed 12 turnovers. Reynaldo Garcia, 3 assists away from a double-double. Could become the 4th player in FIBA Basketball World Cup Qualifiers history to get to a triple-double, the 4th ever to do so. We'll take a look at the highlights here from the first half. Well, it was an exciting beginning between these two teams, but Cuba on 2 occasions have found a way back in it, but problem for them has been shot selection. Echevarria did have to go to the bench after picking up his 2nd personal foul. It was Trevor Gaskin's first 3 straight off the bench for Panama. Well, Cuba, like we said, the advantage they are going to have is the ability to try and contest some more second opportunity points, but those second chance opportunity points aren't going to come unless you get the offensive rebounds. And Ernesto Olivier, well, he's been a beast on the board so far this evening. Ernesto does have 6 rebounds and 8 points. Indeed, he's gone to the free throw line, knocking down 2 out of 4, but Cuba's got to ask the question, do you want to get to Doha 2022? If you do, you've got to win this window. That was the layup by Marcos Chacon, 3rd leading scorer in this game, right behind Reynaldo Garcia, his teammate, and Iverson Molinar. Molinar has indeed put on a showcase here in the first half. That was his final field goal. And that was the putback dunk by the bell. Well, there was the kick out. There was a 3-pointer. Fans, we'll be back in just over 12 minutes. Second half coming up.
We're in for a showdown here tonight. Let's get this party started. Oh my goodness sakes, that's a throwdown. Goes in for the dunk. Good night. Too big, too strong, and just too good. Bogdanovich, who goes in and scores. Ah! This is what it's all about. It's all one big basketball family, folks. Winning time. Both teams over the limit. You have got to be kidding me! Are they going to get a trap there? Dribbled right into it. Fabish. Can he find a way out? He does. Good ball movement for Jamaica. And a slam for facing. Here's the big two-hander. Get out the way. Things are about to get rough. Chance for Uruguay to win it. Who's going to throw it up? The pass! Bang! Martin Rojas stealing the spotlight. He got it away in time. He gets Uruguay the win.
Are you kidding me?
Papa Nicolau says, give it to me.
Go tax to close out. Bruno inside.
Fills it up.
Welcome back, everybody. Live here in Panama City. We are at the Arena Roberto Duran, where currently Panama lead by 10 points against Cuba here at the end of the first half. A Group D fixture for the 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifiers in Panama. Currently being led with 15 points from Iverson Molina, the only player for Panama in double figures. He does have 5 turnovers to go to his name as well, but also 3 assists. The scoring has been great so far here for the Panamanians. Well, if he keeps on attacking inside the paint, because there's a lot of frailties in Cuba's front court defense. Because Cuba expecting a traveling violation that time, but well, Marlon Diaz paying the price. Could have got a hand up and contested it. Off of Cuba, on the other hand, Reynaldo Garcia leads them with 12 points, currently playing the Japanese B-League with the Saga Ballooners. Well, Garcia, quite interestingly, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and had 7 steals at the end of the first half. Question is, can he come up with 7 rebounds and 3 steals to get to a triple-double? I mean, he'd be the 4th player in FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifying history to do so. 7 times we saw this from him tonight, coming up with big steals, hands in passing lanes. Man, he made it to the final of the Indonesian Basketball League Finals back in 2024 with Satya Muda. Nearly winning it in Game 3 against Pelita Jaya, but it just wasn't meant to be. Well, while he leads him with 10, Marcos Chacon, also second leading scorer this evening for Cuba, who has 11. Pedro Bombino with 7 points. But welcome back. Of course, Group D fixture here in the FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifiers. The other 2 teams in this group, both Uruguay and Argentina. And Uruguay, right now, look like they're going to remain undefeated with 2:26 to go. Lead 54-39 against Argentina. Well, young Sanchez got on the floor earlier, but did pick up 2 fouls. This is a learning experience for that young man, and he's going to be a bright talent ahead of the future for Cuban basketball. Because can he go down the same pathway as Juan Haciel Rivero, 2-time winner of the FIBA Basketball Champions League when he played for San Pablo Burgos? Well, we look at the foul count now for both teams. Cuba don't have anybody with 3 fouls. The same actually can be said against Panama. 2 players for Panama who have 2 fouls, Eric Romero and Ezequiel Bell as well, who had the putback dunk earlier in the first half. But still a whole half of basketball to play for both these 2 teams. Well, the interesting thing about this Group D, naturally there's got to be a lot of favorites, or people assuming the favorites, are going to be both Argentina and Uruguay to battle for the top two, but I'm sure both Cuba and Panama would have identified after the first window specifically that this window was going to probably be make or break to find out who would be joining both Uruguay, or who could be potentially joining them both. Exciting times here in the Americas. Because it was Argentina who did make it to the final of 2019 in China, only to lose to Ricky Rubio, Marc Gasol in Spain. And Argentina, actually thanks to the Dominican Republic, failed to qualify for the 2023 FIBA Basketball World Cup. And what's interesting, between both Panama and Cuba, this is actually the 21st meeting between these two teams. The history does stretch back to the first ever meeting, which was an Olympic qualifier in 1968. Does this show the history of both these two countries? Well, the more recent meeting was in the FIBA Centro Basket. So they've met each other in quite a lot of competitions, that's for sure. It's the first ever meeting Cuba won 91-88. That was back in 1968. As mentioned, the last time they met was 10 years ago, in which Panama had a slender 5-point victory. Cuba at the time did have Carol Guzman, Yasser Rodriguez, who had 9 points in that game, as well as Yordanis Yaka Calderon. Well, Panama, that is a decade ago, but only Ernesto Olivier played in that game, who had 10 points. Tony Bishop Jr. nearly finished with a double-double, but there's Iverson Molinar. 15 points, 3 assists, 1 rebound. But I'm just curious to know if Reynaldo Garcia is going to get 3 more assists and either 7 more rebounds, or 3 more steals, sorry, along with either 8 assists and 7 rebounds. Who knows? Double-double, triple-double, or even a quadruple-double. Well, Molinar filling up the categories of both points and assists. Olivier also near a potential double-double tonight here for Panama. So now the players will head back to the benches. We're only a minute away from returning to the floor for the second half. It almost looks definitive, like Uruguay is going to pick up a huge victory against Argentina, which many probably didn't see coming, but well, they have indeed. They've won 61-44. As the Uruguayans remain undefeated here in Group D. Well, fans, use that QR code and download the official World Cup qualifying app. Download it on your smartphone, your tablet, or Android. Customize your experience right from the qualifiers. Follow your favorite teams and players, and get all the best news, highlights, and content that matter to you most. Players now getting some final words in with their coaches. 10-point lead for Panama to hang on to. It would be monumental for them to get any kind of victory, but as I said, whoever wins tonight, you want to win by as many points as possible, because remember, you'll have to meet each other again in just a few days' time. At that point, you don't want to give your opponent, whether it's Cuba or Panama, whoever wins, a chance of winning a potential head-to-head. And the only comparison I can kind of remember is when both Chile and Colombia shared the group stage of the America Cup qualifiers back in 2019. They split 2 games, but Colombia, excuse me, losing the second game. When many thought they'd lost the head-to-head, they actually ended up beating Argentina and defeating Chile. As they shared Argentina and Venezuela in that group. Bombino goes in, a lot of contact, no foul given. Almost becoming third player in double figures so far tonight here for Cuba. He's got 9 points. Molnat gives us one up. Rodriguez made that final three-pointer. Olivier goes in, and now he finishes, and now he has 10 points. 4 rebounds away from a double-double. Now it's just way too easy for Ernesto Olivier. Chavarria back in the lineup here for Cuba. Had options, goes himself, and a good start here for the Cubans. Marlon Diaz set that high screen, but Chavarria had no problem initiating by himself. Chacon trying to be aggressive here on defense. Olivier, he'll fire a three. He's got 10 points, and now make it 13 as he becomes the game's, well, excuse me, Panama's, well, no, indeed, the game's second leading scorer. Chacon's made 1 3. He'll go for another one. It's back and forth between these two teams, and you've got to love the tempo tonight. 7-point ball game. Great start here in the second half, and well, Rodriguez made his last three. Again, it's just firing in. No defense, no pressure. Bombino in the paint. 1 field goal takes him to double figures. Chacon thought about going for the three. They go back to Bombino, unable to finish. Olivier comes up with a 7th rebound. Panama want to extend on his 10-point lead, but a foul is going to be called. So sideline possession coming up here for Panama. Just over 2:15 played here in the third quarter. So they're going to go for a quick three. This one's up. No good. Chavarria towers up for the rebound. Can they build something? But Cuba just throw it away. There's no composure right now in the play at the moment. Got to have a little bit more stability. Coach Planas just watching on as his players right now inviting Panama to build on this momentum. Olivier. Rodriguez has made 2 threes, pump fakes. Good defense by Reynaldo Garcia. Well, Garcia's going to come up with his 8th still, saves it, and Chacon goes in and finishes. 8 steals tonight for Reynaldo Garcia. Incredible. Things getting quite heated at the moment. Still an 11-point lead currently here too. Well, 9-point lead currently here too. Panama. Double team coming over. Have to kick this one out. They'll go for another three. It's up. That's way too short. Chacon comes up with a rebound. Looks like a foul is going to be called. Not sure who they've called this one on, but I think it's an offensive foul against Chacon. Well, another three goes flying, nothing going. Panama just haven't found that consistency. And now they're about to invite Cuba back into the game. Garcia kicks out. Foul is going to be called. That one's on the ground. Well, that's on Luis Rodriguez. He's had a great start so far in this game. 4 assists along with his 12 points and 7 steals. So that previous play, which I thought was going to be a steal to Reynaldo Garcia, they haven't actually given it to him. Chacon getting that screen. Goes in, counted, and it's going to be an &1. And Cuba, slowly but surely, fighting their way back in this one, as they've done on a few occasions so far this evening. So that foul's on Luis Rodriguez. Three-point play converted. 6-point deficit, Panama. For a third time on the back of potential comeback here from Cuba. Echevarria takes a gamble. Cuba's got to recover. Rodriguez has made 2 threes, tries to go for a third one. Olivier offensive board, and he gets rejected. Garcia has it in transition. Makes the pass, Bambino, and now it's a 2-possession ball game. 5 assists for Reynaldo Garcia. Oh, can Gaskins get it? No, he can't. Another offensive board. Chacon, there's the alley-oop. Bachevera again. Should have gone up with it. It should be a 2-point deficit. But Echevarria unselfishly tried to dish it off. Probably not the best decision. But still there's life. Belief here in Cuba. Well, Panama will get it back. Cuba staying in this 2-3 zone defense. Panama's been a good 3-point shooting team tonight. You'd think they'd have a bit of success against the zone. Molinar goes for it. There you have it. That's one way to attack it. 5 assists along with his 18 points. Extends it back to a 7-point lead. Garcia from 15, and that's way too short. Now Reynaldo Garcia is going to get called for the foul. .440 to go here in the third quarter. Well, Garcia's going to take a breather. 12 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, and still 7 steals. Triple doubles, very possible time for Reynaldo Garcia, but he is going to go to the bench. Oh, Olivier made his last 3. Cuba could have got the rebound, but both of them fought over it. And in the end, Aldo Castel had to try and save it, but he inadvertently threw it out of bounds. So baseline possession coming up here for Panama. Olivier finds Molinar. Made his last 3, goes for another one. It's time Cuba prevent the offensive rebound. Still only 7 points the difference between these two teams. Echevarria went back door. There's another look in the corner. High arc and 3, and that's a good look. A good offense by Cuba. Bambino arguing with the referee. Still hasn't got inside the paint. That's going to be a kickball violation. It looked like it was going to be a good play. I don't know what they're arguing about. It's a kickball. Well, the FIBA Basketball World Cup will be in 2 summers. This summer, it's going to be the FIFA World Cup. No doubt some of these Cuban players are probably talented soccer players, but good defense by Bambino. Cuba have numbers. Echevarria drawing the foul, and that's only going to be the third team foul against Panama, but he could have given that one up a little bit earlier. They could have got an easy bucket. And Panama's 14 turnovers, in my mind, what's enabled Cuba to kind of hang in there. Well, Bombino thinks about it, goes for it. Well, thank Echevarria for drawing the foul. Back to a 4-point deficit. Bombino now actually becomes Cuba's second leading scorer this evening. Nice take, goes in, misses from point-blank range. Bombino comes up with it. Cuba now can make it a 2-point deficit. Gets rejected, but Bombino with the follow-up. And now, indeed, it's a one-possession ball game. Nelson Colon having to call timeout. He is infuriated with his team's inability to close this game out. Let's go and listen now to Panama's bench. Well, Bombino indeed has now become joint leading scorer for Cuba alongside Marcos Chacon. He's got 16 points. What a big difference he's made with 5 rebounds along with 1 assist. Because he also has 1 steal, 1 block, but it's only a 2-point deficit. This is great. Now, want to play Fantasy League? Use that QR code and download to register to play. Use that QR code and download Fantasy League. Well, Panama having led by as many as 12, now only lead by 2. The combined total of 32 points between Marcos Chacon and Pedro Bombino has been a massive difference. Well, big moment now for Panama. How will they finish this under 3.5 left here in the third quarter? Well, not just trying to go quickly around the screen. It's a quiet game for Trevor Gaskin so far. Can he catch fire at some points? They'll go for another 3, and well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. 10 3-point field goals so far here for Panama, and it puts them back up by 5. Chacon's made a few tonight. He'll make another one. And this has been an exciting third quarter. Some great basketball so far. 19 tonight for Marcos Chacon. Well, not trying to work around the screen. Gets another high one set by Atencio. Well, Glivier turns it over, fumbles it. Cuba can tie the game up, maybe take the lead with a 3. Well, Chacon wants to go for the lead. Are you kidding me? Ay, Dios mío. 22 points for Chacon. Incredible. And this is without Reynaldo Garcia on the floor. Panamanian fans trying to rally into this. Ernesto Olivier may have got away with an elbow. Well, you can understand the frustration from the defense, but Marlon Diaz definitely looked like he got an elbow to the face. The foul is going to be called on the ground. That's going to be against Ernesto Olivier. Marlon Diaz, I mean, you can understand his frustration. Still arguing the case here. Now, it's a matter of whether they want. Yeah, I think the head coach's challenge is going to be called for a potential act of violence. Definitely saw it was called for, but whether they can actually go for it, that's another question. It takes a deflection, goes out of bounds. Panama will get it back deep on the sideline. Chacón's been on fire, has time, space, another three. Oh my goodness! This man is unconscious. He cannot miss. 3 big triples here in the third quarter, and he's got 25. Panama almost reclaimed the lead. Well, you got to go for it, Marcos Chacón. You've got to go for it. He thinks about it. The foul is going to be called, so Marlon Diaz will go to the free throw line. Oh, Marcos Chacón, 5 out of 7 from downtown, is simply cooking.
Segunda falta para ir a la atención de Panamá. A la línea de tiros libres por Cuba con el número 32, Marlon Diaz.
Well, they've led by as many as 2 points. That was back in the first quarter. He can't give them the biggest lead. Diaz gets the free throw to drop. 7 points tonight for Marlon Diaz, along with 6 rebounds. So has 1 block, 1 steal. Well, that's going to be a lane violation if he misses it. No, they haven't called it. Quite clearly, you could see there was not 1 but 2 early entries from the Panamanian players. High screen coming. Cuba quite happy through the 1 through 5 switching. Molina can level things up. And again, did you expect anything else? As now he moves up to 21. What a game we have tonight. All locked in at 68 apiece. Chacón. A lot of contact goes in, and a foul's going to be given. So now he can restore the lead here for Cuba and also go up to 27. If he makes both free throws, he hasn't gone to the free throw line tonight. Cuba collectively 11 out of 16 from the free throw line. Looks like a timeout is going to be called. It's called by Cuba, which is interesting because often you see a timeout called when you're about to take free throws. But we'll head down to their bench to find out what they've got to say. Well, a lot of inspiration, of course, coming from Marcos Chacón. going to ask the question. Well, I asked the question actually. With Reynaldo Garcia going to the bench, where are the points going to come from? But now at some point, you got to get Marcos Chacon a bit of respite. So that's the benefit of maybe taking Garcia to the bench, because you can always bring him back in fresh. Because he's almost had 4 minutes of game time, resting and recovering. This would be huge. But like I said, we have a whole nother quarter of basketball to play. And remember, these two teams will meet each other again. Marcos Chacon currently in his second professional season playing in Argentina for Gimnasia Indala. He's averaging 10.5 points per game this season in the Argentinian Basketball League. Oh, he missed the free throw. 6th missed free throw tonight for Cuba. Second one good, now moves up to 26. Neither team with any fouls to give. A little bit of full court zone pressure coming from the Cubans. Well, that's a silly foul to give away, because they're going to send Molinar to the free throw line. And Molinar, I think, just instructing towards Gil Atencio that you've got to be a press reliever. You've got to flash to the middle. So free throws now coming up for Panama. Panama have only missed 2 free throws this evening. Well, Molinar levels things up. Can give Panama a 1-point lead if he makes this free throw. Second leading scorer tonight, right behind Marcos Chacon. Looks like a provisional substitution coming in for Panama. Probably to give Molinar a bit of a respite going into the final 10. Once Cuba stepped up that perimeter shooting in this game, it was game on. They said at halftime. Both teams the same amount of field goals from inside the rainbow. Also from the free throw line. It was only the 4 3-point field goals that separated them in favor. Echevarria penetrates, gets connected. No in mi casa. Final shot coming up here for Panama. Gaskins coming off one screen. Thinks about it. Well, he's got to go for it. Deep one. Doesn't get it. Offensive rebound. But a foul is going to be called. So 2 free throws coming up for Panama. With 7/10 of a second to go. And that's a great fight. Looks like the foul is on Marlon Diaz. Oh, it's great work again by that man who had the putback dunk in the first half. Vecchio Bell, only 4 points this evening. Now he has made both his free throws already. Because not naturally an offensive threat here for Panama. He is currently playing for Club Nacional de Football in Uruguay. Standing at 200 centimeters. He's played most of his career in Uruguay, but he missed the first free throw. Can he give them 2-point lead with 7/10 of a second left? Well, makes him second one. Cuba. I'm not sure how much time he thought there was left on the clock, but we head into the 4th and final quarter with Panama leading by 2 here in game day 3 in this Group D fixture window 2 in the 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup Qualifiers. What an exciting game it's been thus far, as we'll take a look at some of the key stats and then we'll run back the best highlights from the 3rd quarter. But so far, neither Panama or Cuba have got a victory in the World Cup qualifiers. That is going to change. One of them will pick up a victory. Well, 37 and 41% from the 3-point line for both these two teams. Cuba slightly better from inside the rainbow. Still both teams with 12 free throws made. Cuba having missed 6 of those. We'll look at the highlights very soon. was the offensive play inside the paint, and I got to tell you, he has been a game changer, Pedro Bombino. Bombino's second leading scorer for Cuba with 16 points and 5 rebounds, but Ernesto Olivier, the only player to have played in this game at the Central Basket of 2016. Panama slightly cooler from the perimeter here in the second half. They are 11 out of 27, but credit to Cuba. They have been phenomenal. As the man who's been leading Panama with 23. Unfortunately, does have 7 turnovers, but also 5 assists with his 23 points. But Marcos Chacon, in my mind, the reason Cuba's been able to get back into this game. No doubt he's been the MVP in this one. Well, here we go, fans. Use that QR code and download Courtside 1891, where you can get all the best live streams, schedules, and scores using that QR code. Courtside 1891, the home of international basketball. Renato Garcia coming back into lineup, so Marcos Chacon still also in the lineup. So Coach Planas not giving his best player a little bit of a respite. Garcia was actually Cuba's leading scorer when he had 12 points when he went to the bench with 7 steals. 5 assists, 3 steals away from a potential triple-double. Panama getting first play, leading by 2. Oh, Molnar getting a quick handoff, doesn't get it. Another offensive rebound. Panama turning it over. Should have been an easy putback for them. Bombino gets fouled, but that's going to be called on the ground, I believe. It's all clicked in very well for Cuba. The inside threat of Pedro Bombino and the perimeter threat of both Marcos Chacon and Renato Garcia. Oh, well, free throws coming up, I think, yeah? So Bombino, who's 3 out of 5 from the free throw line this evening. Because he's missed 2 of the 6 missed free throws, is Ernesto Olivier coming back in the lineup here for Panama. Try to level things up here early in the 4th quarter. Miss another free throw. 7 missed in total for Cuba. Is that going to come back and haunt them tonight? Well, Panama's still leading by 1. So then they've led by as many as 12 points. Probably should have closed this game out a long time ago before they allowed Marcos Chacon to get into it. 1 through 5 switching been exhibited on defense. Molnar has to put up a tough one. Chavarria with a rebound. Cuba can reclaim the lead. Led by as many as 3 points in this game. Bombino tries to go baseline. Oh, but they turn it over. No kickball violation. Panama survived the play. Olivier goes for a back down, goes in. Too big, too strong, and simply just too good. Well, when in doubt, go to the veteran. How much does Chacon have in the fuel tank to keep going here? Pulls up from 18. That's just way too short. Nobody going in for an offensive board. And Coach Nelson Colon telling his players to push the tempo. Bombino, there's a kick out. There's a wide open 3. It's up, and oh my goodness, good night. 6-point lead restored. And another 3-pointer for Rodriguez. His 4th one tonight. And Chavarria may have got away with a travel, but he cuts it down to a 2-possession ball game. Game far from over at the moment. Molina wants it high screen. Well, Bombino didn't recover in time, but Panama failing to take advantage. Another rebound for Garcia. Oh, Diaz will go for three, and he'll knock it down, and he'll make it a 1-point deficit. And just when Panama built a 6-point lead, Cuba going a 5-0 run. Diaz now up to 10 points. Renato Garcia, 7 assists, 7 steals, 12 points. Rodriguez heavily defended. Time winding down. Molina's got to put up a prayer. That's not going to go. And what a dime by Garcia. Still keeps it alive. Chacon goes in. And somehow, some way, that's going to be a goaltending. 28 points to Marcos Chacon. Cuba reclaimed the lead. Well, Panama, after building that 6-point lead, indeed, it's been a 7-0 run for Cuba. But again, when in doubt, you go to Senor Ernesto Olivier. What a game he's had tonight. 19 for him, 1 rebound away from a double-double. Chacon finds Bombino. That's going to be a second team foul against Panama here in the fourth quarter. .616 to go. Cuba down by one. They throw it away. Poor pass, turning it over. Can Panama take advantage here? 23 points so far for Molina. Rodriguez has 12, all of them coming from the perimeter. Olivier backing down again, just goes in and counted. He'll go to the free throw line. Simply unstoppable. .21 big points for Ernesto Olivier. Mobile, agile, and now becoming hostile. Taking this game over. He just needs that one rebound to get to that double-double. The only player close to coming to a double-double or a triple-double is Renato Garcia. And he converts the three-point play, now up to 22. Second leading scorer tonight here still for Panama. Garcia being heavily defended. Still has it. Penetrates. Out of control, can't get it. There's a kick out, they'll go for another three. Not gonna get it. Cuba panicking. Over halfway to go here in the fourth quarter. Panama don't need to rush anything. Just need to take their time. Well, Gaskin's little floater just cannot connect. Bombino with a rebound. 7 boards tonight for Bombino. Garcia still has it. Has to kick out. Diaz probably could have gone for the three-pointer. Chacon pulls up from 17. That's way too short. Well, Cuba look like they don't have any gas in the tank left at the moment. They look tired. And who can fold them? These players have given everything tonight. Well, Gaskins, don't invite him. He'll take it. 6 on the shot clock. That's going to be a turnover. Gaskins probably should have taken the initial three-pointer. "16 turnovers, and in my mind, that's what's allowed Cuba to hang in there. Because twice he went down by double figures. Check on defended by Molina. Bombino, pump fakes. Tries to go behind the back. Probably should give this one up, but he'll go to the free throw line. Well, he's 4 out of 7 from the charity stripe tonight, Bombino, so it might not be the worst foul. Cuba have indeed missed 7 free throws. Could make all 7 of those missed attempts? Well, they'd be leading by 3. Third foul against Eric Romero. But Bombino makes this one, cutting it down to 3 points. Makes them both. 2-point ball game. Still plenty of basketball to play here in the fourth quarter. Well, they go down to Olivier. It's been unstoppable so far. Tries to find a handoff to Gaskins. Well, not penetrates. Tries to go in for a tough one. Can't get it. Chacon comes up with it. Cuba can tie things up. Maybe take the lead with another 3. Garcia. There's a foul going to be called. It's on the ground. It's going to be the 4th team foul. 3:47 left. Well, the timeout is going to be called by Cuba. Coach Planas wants to talk it over. Hope still alive in the Cuban camp. Because they know they're still in this one, but got to get a field goal at least to either tie things up or take the lead. But then still a lot of time with 3:47, so you wonder what is going to be going through Coach Planas' mind at the moment. As we talked about the depth, only 4 points coming from Cuba's bench. But they have 26 points converted from all of the 16 turnovers committed by Panama. So that's something Coach Nelson Colon's going to be addressing to his players when these two teams meet in a few days' time. Because where Cuba's been better in quite a few categories. We talked about points from turnovers, 26-7. But also winning the points in the paint count, 38-30 against Panama. While both these teams are very good at the rebounding, Cuba currently 34 boards. 10 of those have been offensive. While Panama does have 2 more total rebounds. They have 2 less offensive rebounds. So a lot of interesting stats to compare in this game. When we come back, it's going to be a baseline possession to Cuba. Panama don't have any fouls to give. The good thing for Cuba, they've got 3 to give. So if they don't score, they can take a few gambles on defense. What they don't want to do is foul Panama in the process of shooting the ball. Well, big moment now for Cuba. Players like Pedro Bombino really have stepped up here in the second half with 19 points and 7 boards. Still led by Marcos Chacon with 28. Reynaldo Garcia will inbound this. They want to get the Chacon. Does he have enough stamina to build something? Panama no fouls to give. Echevarria, big 3. And nobody going in for an offensive board. That was his third three-point attempt. Remember, like I said, Cuba's got fouls to give. Time winding down here on the shot clock. Molina, quick catch. There's the bump, no foul given. That's gonna be a 24-second violation. Good defense from Cuba. Panama just took too long on that offense. So again, Cuba, a chance to either tie things up or take the lead if they elect to go for a three-pointer. Aldo Castel playing point guard at the moment here for the Cubans. Defended by CJ Rodriguez. Well, Bombino goes for it. Well, free throws coming up for Cuba. That is where Panama have let themselves down, putting Cuba into the penalty. CJ Rodriguez will go to the bench. Nelson Colon making a change. So coming back in is Luis Rodriguez, who all of his points have come from the three-point line. 4 out of 6 from downtown so far tonight. But Chacon, can he make both of them? And he missed it. And if you're Cuba, you got to think 8 missed free throws tonight. If they lose, that for sure is going to haunt them. But even with the game as close as it is, well, he missed them both. But that's fatigue. He's played a lot of minutes tonight. 31 minutes played by Marcos Chacon. Not a bad foul to give away, though, by Reynaldo Garcia, because that's only the second team foul for Cuba. Cuba still with 2 fouls to give here in the fourth quarter. Gasket splits the entire defense. Rodriguez has been on fire. Not going to get this one, but a big offensive rebound. Molina, 3. Still can't get it. What a pass. And Cuba level things up and make that the 8th assist tonight for Reynaldo Garcia. 2 away from a double-double. What an ending we could be having. Remember, Cuba's got those fouls to give. Gaskets got to do something. Step back. Cuba can't come up with it. Now we're under 2 minutes. Rodriguez. Well, it's going to be a turnover. Chacon comes up with it. There's a take, a lot of contact, no foul given. Bombino's got to stop arguing and just get back on defense. And a coach technical against Coach Planas. What is he doing? He's got to calm down. Well, it's going to be 1 technical free throw coming up. Well, it's a big moment now, as Iverson Molina hasn't missed a free throw. 23 points. And he gets it. 1 point lead to Panama. Well, it was actually a bench technical, so not a coach technical. So my apologies to Coach Planas. Cooler heads need to prevail here in the last 1 minute, 44 seconds. And a 5-second violation. Not sure why Reynaldo Garcia is so infuriated. He's asking for a technical, but Cuba's come so far, but right now, just when the game is still winnable, they've got to keep composure. Remember, Panama don't have any fouls to give, but That might not be a bad option, sending Cuba to the free throw line, because Cuba missed 9 free throws this evening. Any bucket now will give Cuba the lead. Bombino goes for a tough one. Comes up with his own rebound. That's going to be an offensive foul against Pedro Bombino. He tried to go for his own rebound, but unfortunately just came from behind. But he's been terrific tonight. Without him, they don't get back into this. And the timeout is going to be called by Nelson Colon. Well, Panama may just be able to survive. They have a 1-point lead. They have possession. But Cuba do have fouls to give. I'm sure they're going to draw something up here because, I mean, you go for whatever the defense gives you, but I would imagine they're going to try to get something calm here. I mean, the only category where Panama has been able to dominate has been the bench points. Fast break points, second chance points, points from turnovers, all gone in favor of Cuba tonight. Well, Chacon is, in my mind, being the best player tonight with 30 points. No surprise, I mean, they have been excellent to say the least. The job not done for either team yet. Still 125. And Iverson Molina, well, he's been, that name Iverson, everywhere it goes, it just seems to be fantastic on the basketball court. It just seems to be the answer. Can it be the answer tonight here for Panama? Because remember, both them and Cuba still winless. Even whoever wins this game, it's highly unlikely they're going to win, whether it be Cuba or Panama, by double digits because of time left and given what the circumstances are. So whoever loses also has to remember this head-to-head isn't over, because they'll meet each other in a few days' time. And with this kind of margin, winning a head-to-head won't be impossible. So Cuba has 1 foul to give. That bench technical, along with the free throw shooting, could it come back to haunt Cuba? That is a very intriguing question, but we will find out at 125, I guess. Panama's going to inbound this one. Three-pointer would give them a double-digit, well, 2-possession lead. They've converted 12 out of 33 tonight from the perimeter. Chivari's got to switch on Molina. Molina goes in and makes it a 3-point ball game. 26 points for him. Now Reynaldo Garcia, still 12 points. Coming off another screen. Penetrates, goes in, misses. No foul given. Well, he's on the ground still. And that's going to be Cuba's final foul to give away. So it won't send Panama to the free throw line. But it does mean they'll get it back in the midcourt. Cuba don't have any fouls to give now. So any fouls would send Panama to the free throw line. Olivier coming up high to receive this one. Bombino trying to pressure. Echevarria took the gamble. Panama is able to recover. Under 10 here on the shot clock. Molina finds Olivier. 3 is up. Big rebound. Cuba don't necessarily have to go for a three-pointer, but Chacon will go for it, and he doesn't get it, and that might just do it. Well, they had to look to tie the game up. I think Cuba don't want to foul here. But Garcia commits it. Well, the reason you don't want to foul, it's better going down by 3 into the next game than it is by anything bigger, because that just makes the margin slightly easier to try to win the head-to-head. Looks like Nelson Colon is going to call timeout indeed. Because when we come back, it will be Trevor Gaskins going to the free throw line here for Panama. Well, there are the stats tonight. I mean, Panama have only missed 3 free throws, in Cuba 9 missed free throws, and just make 4 of those, you'd be in the lead right now. No doubt Coach Planas, something he's going to reflect on with his players when they go into the second matchup against Panama. I think the one thing he's going to say to his players, look, regardless of whatever happens on the free throws, don't foul. We have to play these guys in a few days' time. Don't make it easy for them to try and win a potential head-to-head. Well, Chacon had a good look from the perimeter to try to tie the game up. Bombino, good game for him tonight, 19.7 rebounds. Reynaldo Garcia, I kept saying flirting with a triple-double. Almost had a quadruple-double tonight. 12 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 7 steals. Well, Rodriguez turns it over. And 2 seconds left. I thought it was free throws coming up for Trevor Gaskins. So a timeout is going to be called by Cuba. Well, I had it wrong. So Cuba, with 2 seconds, timeout, they'll advance the ball. They'll get a crack at going into overtime. Well, you couldn't write this ending. Well, crazier things have definitely happened, and that 19th turnover isn't going to come back to haunt Panama. Now Cuba, ideally you want to go into OT, but even if you get a 2-point bucket and only lose by 1, a head-to-head is still possible in the next game. Even if you lose by 3, it just means the next time you play, you only have to beat Panama by 4 to win the head-to-head. But knowing players like Reynaldo Garcia, they'll want to go to OT. When you look at the personnel they have on the floor, and obviously your 3-point threats are going to come from Marcos Chacon and definitely Reynaldo Garcia. Now remember, Pedro Bombino has made 1 3 tonight. He's 1 out of 3. Ibrahim Hechavarria has attempted 3 threes tonight, but he hasn't converted 1, as well as Aldo Castel. Castel will inbound it. Here we go. 2 seconds left. Well, they get it inbound. Chacon. They don't get it off in time. Poorly executed. And Panama will win their first game of the 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifiers. Well, it's only a 3-point win. They'll meet again very soon. And Cuba know they only have to win by 4. This Group D, as we saw Uruguay remain undefeated against Argentina, could mean anything in the final game of this window. It could mean anything in the next window, in window 3. But it's a win nonetheless for Panama. But far from over from qualifying for round 2. Well, Marcos Chacon led Cuba tonight with 30 points. Was it enough? That's the thing. No, it wasn't. But they've got to put this game behind them. Even with the minimal points coming from the bench, they played with their hearts. They gave it everything. It just wasn't enough. And you got to feel for these Cuban players. We'll take a look at the stats. Cuba finishing with 8 3-pointers, shooting 35% from the perimeter, exactly the same percentage as Panama, who did have 12 3-pointers. But Cuba will be asking the question to themselves. Well, had we made all our free throws, It could have been a very different basketball game indeed. Well, yeah, you can see Chacon leading all scorers with 30. Great game for Iverson Molyneux, who finished at 26. We'll take a look at the highlights very, very soon. What an outstanding game it was in the end. Well, a big win for Uruguay. Very low scoring, keeping Argentina only 44 points. But Uruguay, having failed to qualify for the last 2 World Cups via the windows, things looking very good for them, to say the least. Well, we're going to take a look at the highlights very, very soon. But here are the standings so far here in Group D of the FIBA Basketball World Cup American Qualifiers. Uruguay in first place, Argentina in second. And Panama, after this win, will indeed move up to third place. Cuba still winless, but all they've got to do is just win by 4 to win this head-to-head. Well, a very exciting game nonetheless. Game just full of so much entertainment. It was back and forth action. Because in my mind, Ernesto Olivier really came to play when it mattered, when it counted. No doubt. Well, I'll be looking back at this game, Panama, and thinking, we almost lost it. They came very close. So we know we've got to be on our A game the second time we meet them. And I think Cuba will take a lot of positives from this, and probably felt that, you know, without some key players like Carol Guzman and Haciel Rivero, they definitely can compete. A lot of inspiring play from that man. Marcos Chacon, 30 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 1 steal. Cuba finishing the game with 10 steals. 70% of those actually came from Reynaldo Garcia, all in the first half. And what a game he had with 12 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 7 steals. Well, a big win for them, and that was the penetration, the bucket that gave them the 3-point margin, that sealed the deal. A big, big win for Panama. But they're going to have to try to get another one, or at least lose by less, or yeah, less than 3 points to ensure they win this head-to-head. This could be the 3rd place finisher between these two teams in this window. But fans, so far from myself here in Panama, it's good night, goodbye, and God bless.